Today is about accountability. You have to come up with a vision for your life, and you have to have someone who can hold you accountable for that vision, or you will never achieve anything that you want to achieve in your life, if that makes sense. So what I'm trying to say is this: visualize exactly what it is that you want and come up with a plan of all the little steps to get there, and commit every single day to going towards that, or you will not achieve what you want to. You will not feel fulfilled at the end of the day. There's probably better ways to say this, but that's the best way that I can say it right now. So I'm looking over here. I have this list of the things that I want to do in this next year, because this past year has not been the best. It's not been the most productive, because there's so many things I could do that I get caught up, and then every day it's just like, oh, I'll get to it tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes, right? And so I wrote down, okay, what are the priorities? What are the most important things that I need to commit to doing every single day? And how do they stack over time? So maybe there's a priority, but it's not today's priority. It's 3 months from now, or whenever this first thing has been accomplished, then this next thing becomes a priority. So I wrote these things down on a list, and my buddy Tyler, best friend, brother, he is my accountability partner in real life, but so are y'all, even though there's only like 7 of you right now. This is hopefully a way that you will be able to hold me accountable. That way I don't just preach something without actually following it as well, right? So here, reading out the list, I want to, next year, 2024, run a marathon in all 50 states. That's the goal for the year, right? 1 marathon a week for the entire year in every single state. In order to make that happen, I first have to start promoting it. It's going to be November in 2 days. And so I've got about 2 months to kind of get the word out that I'm doing this whole journey, right? And to start paying for the trip, I'm going to build 50 tables. So the idea is that I build a table and that pays for this race. And then I build a table and that pays for this race. The benefit is that I can go build 5 tables, 10 tables, whatever it is. And as I'm going to race at these different events, people who watch my videos, people I see at the competition, can buy a table on my website. And so I'm not building a custom table for an order. I'm making pieces, putting them somewhere, and then someone can go buy them if they choose. And eventually, in the ideal situation, all 50 tables are sold and it pays for the 50 marathons video, right? That would be awesome. So that is next. With the 50 marathons, I want to do a weekly video, and up until that point, I want to start doing a training video every single week on YouTube, just to get in that habit of actually posting YouTube videos. It's tough for me, and it's really tough, but we can get there. Then I want to, sometime next year, hitchhike to all 50 states. Here's the kicker. Maybe this is me being too greedy, and this is a concept I'll talk about in the future, being too greedy with ideas or too greedy with your time or whatever it is. But the way I see it is I want to go hitchhiking. That's why I grew out this beard. And I think it would work on this thing that I'm doing on my main YouTube account. It's part of a series I'm calling YouTube Copycat, where I copy, quote unquote, put a spin on popular YouTubers video that they've already recorded. So that one, I most definitely want to do it at the start of next year. The hard part is that I also want to do the marathons. And this is where I might be being too greedy. But the idea is that I can do a marathon every single week, and there's marathons all the time in different states. So about 2 or 3 days in advance, I'm over here in Arkansas going down to Texas on the hitchhiking trip. And I'm like, oh, well, there's a marathon in Texas. I'll slow down on the hitchhiking. I'll wait an extra day in Texas so I can run the marathon there. Why is that not an issue? Because in the past, I have put a timeline on all of my events, 50 states in 50 days, 100 colleges in 100 days. And when I do the 200 countries trip next year, hopefully, that will be a timeline again. But ideally by then I'll have resources and a team to help me actually pull that off. So this hitchhiking trip is just hitchhiking across America. It's hitchhiking to all 50 states, right? So I don't necessarily need to do that in a certain time frame. It'd be nice to do it in around 3 months or less. So if I can aim for that, then we're golden. Because we did 50 states in 50 days. And that was 2 months, under 2 months, right? Really, we could have done it in a month pretty easily. People have done it in 5 days. They've driven to every state. So it's kind of crazy. Next, as a way to start promoting this massive goal of mine to go to every country in the world, I want to record 200 podcast episodes or appear on 200 different podcasts, right? Now, this is a difficult one because that requires me to be interesting enough that people would want to have me on. That requires that I have something to talk about that they also talk about in their podcast. It's not just like a chit chat podcast, you know? Joe Rogan is a little different. He talks with, experts in the field. And so I could talk with him, hopefully, if like once I pull this off, 200 countries. But who knows? Maybe he'd want to have me on before then. I don't think so. But anyways, other people who do travel podcasts or social media influencers or whatever it is, I could probably make it on theirs. And I'll group in with that, like 200 podcast episodes with radio interviews and just interviews in general, right? That would be incredible if I could do that. Next, YouTube Copycat. It's a video series. Right now it's 10 videos, but it might just be any YouTuber. And I'd put a spin on their idea. And I want to complete those 10 videos next year. I've already done one, the Penny Farthing Across America trip, which got me this little scar right here when I fell off the bike and 2 broken wrists. That was this past summer. And, I thought that I was going to be able to do hitchhiking this fall, but I had to push it back. So we're going to release that video at the start of the year. So that, I need to get YouTube Copycat done. Next is after I build 50 tables for the marathons, let's say I'm able to do that. And because, I could knock, like last month or 2 months ago, I built 38 tables in 5 days. Now, of course, that wasn't fully finished. I had to get them sanded and oiled, but that was only like an extra 2 days, right? And those were like desk-sized tables. So maybe it's not going to be the same, but if I did coffee tables or like, random things like that, like I could definitely build more than 50 tables in a year. So the goal would be after I reach the 50 number, I say like, okay, guys, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try to build 200 tables this year, right? It's going to be an insane undertaking. And maybe I'll just spend an entire month just knocking them out, whatever it is. But that is definitely on the table. Next is down the line, I want to figure out merch of some sort, but because I can only put in so much time with building tables in a year. But if people supported something that I had to say, like for example, one of my things is that I want to have like my brand be like the Dad Squad, so like Proud Dad Bod or something like that, or because Dad stands for dreamers and doers, right? Because that's what I consider myself, and that's the community of people that I want to build on the just all around. But anyways, merch would allow me to kind of also have another stream of income on top of my physical labor with building tables, because I want to show people that, I'm not just going to ask sponsors for money to go on this trip. I'm going to actually work for it, put in time. And then as well, that way when I pull off 200 countries, I can look back on it and say, I built my way there. These 200 tables paid for that trip. And that'll just be the coolest thing ever. So there's that. Then towards the end of the year, I'll do trip planning and a practice trip of some sort. That's where like one of the YouTube Copycat videos is 7 continents in 7 days. So just like the name says, I want to assemble the world's greatest sandwich. So with ingredients from all the different continents. And that would be remaking like a Logan Paul style video, just because like he did Polaroids, for one of his videos. And instead of taking 4,000 Polaroids or whatever he did, I would take 77 or maybe just 7 Polaroids. And yeah, that's a whole idea. And lastly, I want to do a documentary for the 50 marathons, right? So that's a lot of stuff. But I think you have to kind of make impossible goals for yourself like that and then build backwards. Okay, this is what I want to do. Well, how can I make that happen? And so, why would I want to do anything less than that? Let's say I only committed to running a marathon in one state, which it's different for me and you, right? Do not compare the two of us, because I have very little responsibility. I don't work a job, like a regular job where I have to clock in and clock out. own a business that makes enough money to where like I can go do something for a month, but not enough money to where I'm like financially free. So, you know, it's like I have like, it's getting to the point where I only have like $300 in my bank account. So, you know, there are times when I wish I had a full-time job, but at the same time, I like the flexibility. Anyways, don't compare the two of us. Running one marathon in a year for anyone else would be incredible, right? But if I only said I want to run a marathon in one state, that's not really something that a lot of people would get behind, because that's a relatively common thing for the introductory influencer video, right? Instead, if I say I want to do a marathon in all 50 states, well, that gets people firing. They're like, oh, you should do this marathon in this state. You know, you should join me. Oh, tell me when you're out here. I want to run it with you. Having the highest possible goal in mind gives you more opportunity and just like, to those who have more will be given. So you want to have an incredible goal, because you'll be given incredibly more than if you had like a mediocre goal, right? But then you want to build backwards how to actually pull that off. And so then all of these, you can kind of see they kind of stack on top of each other. So one thing I didn't mention, instead of doing just like jumping straight to the 200 podcast episodes in the year, the goal would be to do one in all 50 states when I do these marathons. And who knows, maybe I might change the concept to, I just want to be in 200 podcast episodes. So maybe I'll record some on my own and then also appear on other people's podcasts. I have no idea. But that's just like the idea that's out there. The book that I'm reading right now is called Beyond High Performance. It's really good. And that's one of the parts in it. It's like, okay, come up with 3 impossible goals that you can do in this next year, and then try to figure out, how could I become better to make that happen? Am I capable of more that would allow me to pull this off, right? And yeah, lastly, having all of this written down, and I'm going to print this out and put it up on my wall. Having all of it there that I can see every single day gives me a clear intent of what exactly it is I need to be doing. Because last year, there were so many things that I could have done that I didn't kind of nail it down on what exactly it is I need to do. This is the exact same stuff I wanted to do a year ago today. And that's kind of sad and a little bit upsetting that I haven't been able to do any progress really for any of this. But that's okay. You know, you got to start somewhere. And so we're starting over this year. Lots of preparation coming up. And that's my accountability to you. Now, I want you to come up with your list of what are 3 impossible things, comment it, and then I'll be commenting back throughout the year. Maybe like 1 or 2 people actually do it. So, but if 1,000 people do it, I will try my best. No, I will. That's my promise. Up to 1,000 people, I will comment back. Why not us?